I want to talk about an interesting game from a betting perspective this week just gone in the Champions League. Look, before the games started, we discussed Haaland. Haaland hat-trick being a great bet at 10.0, 11.0, down to 8.0. We just thought that was a good bet. He got 2 goals, then he was substituted off, and then seconds later, Manchester City got a penalty, which the non-Haaland player scored. So congratulations to all the prophets that knew he was going to be subbed off just for the second time in 11 games and thought it was a bad bet. Personally, I'm taking that bet on a Monday, on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm taking it twice on a Sunday. I will have that bet at 7-1, 8-1, 9-1. I'm sending the army out at 10-1 to clean up the SBTs over and over again until the end of time. I stand by that was a hell of a price on Haaland, even though it didn't come in. Now, that was before the game started. I'm now going to talk about after a game is finished. Which game am I going to pick up? Probably one of them that was under the radar in terms of action, and that was Paris Saint-Germain versus Philips Sport Vereniging. Had to Google that. Didn't actually know PSV were known as that, PSV Eindhoven. It was 1-1. Lang got a goal for PSV in the first half. There was an equaliser for PSG from Hakimi in the second half. There were 2 cards in the first half, 4 cards in the second half, only 1 card for PSG. 14 corners for PSG, which is quite a lot, and only 3 for PSV. So why was this game so interesting from a betting perspective? Well, let's look at how we're thinking about probability in this game, okay? I mean, it was unexpected, but not massively unexpected. The results, PSG were 1.36, so they were 73.15% to win this game. So it was only 27% for it not to be PSG, for it to be the draw of PSV, but okay, 27% come in. Enough for the time. PSV to be winning at half-time was 13%. The draw was 16%. 1-1 was 7%. Nothing majorly unusual here. So if you were a prophet, you might have said, well, I'm betting on PSG to win this, and you lose your 1.36. If you were a super prophet, you might have said, well, PSG aren't going to win this game against their Dutch neighbours, which is going to happen. You would think that PSG are going to win more than 73% of the time, but that's what 1.36 equates to in terms of odds. Let's not discuss any of that, though. What I want to have a look at are the combo bets that were available for this game. So you can find combo bets anywhere. I mean, traditionally, request a bets at Sky Bet, pick your punt at Betfred, your odds at William Hill, pick your Paddy or what odds Paddy Paddy Power with the same bets at Betfair Sportsbook, because it's the same company that manage both, and PokerStars have a lot of the same bets. And pretty much everyone does these same game parlays, these combo bets. Now, in this game, we had a look at all of the different bookmakers for PSV versus PSG, and we plucked out 2 in particular as having quite a lot of bets that were quite high value. In fact, really, really quite high value. And that was Paddy Power and PokerStars, who have, we suspect, the same format of bets, even spelled the same, coming from the same provider, but I think they manage their odds just slightly differently, cut at different times, different margins, so on and so forth. Now, Paris Saint-Germain to score 2+ goals and 6+ corners is one of 20+ EV bets that we found at these 2 different firms. But here's the interesting thing about it. It opened up at 6-4 with a fare of 2.34. I mean, that's okay. I can't quite work that out in my head, but it's maybe 3, 4, 5% EV. Now, looking at the lines in this game, we were looking at about 2.7 goals for PSG, 0.99 for PSV. We were looking at 6.7 corners. Okay, so this particular bet, it was asking us, PSG to have 2+ goals and to get 6+ corners. Now, if you've got to have a 6.76 corners in the game, you're odds on to get 6 corners. You're about 1.49, quite heavily odds on. Okay? And similarly, if you're going to get 2.71 goals in the game, as they were expected to, then your odds of getting 1 goal are 1.32. So 1.32 for the goal, and 1.49 for the corner. If we multiply those two together, which I'm going to do for the first time now, you get about 1.96. However, you can't just multiply them together, because here's the thing. If the team's getting more corners, it means the goalkeeper is performing particularly well. It's not a direct multiplication. There is always something on top to consider, that more goals is fewer corners, more corners is fewer goals. So we made the bet 2.5, 2.34 when it opened. Something happened with some smart money around this game where PSG steamed in. I mean, the shops out there were like, PSG are going to win this game at a canter. The price was too high for PSG before the game started, and these £1 million syndicates came in and shaped the line. Now, I don't know what the PSG line moved to, but looking at the stats of the game, they were probably quite right, because the expected goals at the end of the game was 2.43 for PSG, 0.25 for PSV. PSG had 61% possession. They had 26 goal attempts to 8. They had 8 shots on target to 3. So the fact that it finished 1-1, PSV, it does look like were quite lucky. They got a result there compared to the performance in the game. So the sharps that were sharpening that line down to 1.36, that's 73% lost. But that doesn't mean that they were wrong. They were probably right looking on those stats, although I don't have a model around what I think that the fair odds for PSG should have been. But is this PSG to score 2+ goals and 6+ corners? Because, of course, as the sharp money's coming in and shaping PSG, essentially, the nuts and bolts of it, what it's saying is that they think that PSG are going to score more goals, or they think that PSV are going to score fewer goals, or more likely a combination of both. The money is essentially saying the sharp models out there think that PSG are getting more goals, PSV are getting fewer corners. And with that expectancy of goal increase, there'll also be an expectancy of corners increase, because that will be where the possession is. More possession, the ball's in the PSV box more often, more corners will be in the game for PSG. So what did it close at? That bet that opened at 2.5, 2.34, which in itself is a pretty decent bet, closed at 2.5, 1.97. Odds on for PSG to get 2 goals in this game and 6+ corners. Now, considering they've got 15 corners and an XG of 2.43, that's a great bet. Here's the thing, it lost. That bet lost. As did 123% Paris Saint-Germain to score in each half, and Paris Saint-Germain to get 3 corners or more in each half. I mean, they got only 2 corners in the first half. They got 12 corners in the second half. They really didn't turn up for the first half. Paris Saint-Germain to score 2 goals, get 6 corners, and PSV to get 3 cards at 6-1. Big bet. Paris Saint-Germain to score in both half, and 4 corners in each half. 12-1. Huge bet. Paris Saint-Germain to score 3+ goals, 6+ corners, and PSV to get 3+ cards. 10-1. Should have been single digits. Big bet. At PokerStars, Paris Saint-Germain to win each half. Paris Saint-Germain to have the most corners in each half. 15-2. Big bet. Identical at Paddy Power as well, and Betfair Sportsbook at 15-2, that bet. And what happened to all of those? Well, they went lost. All 7 of those bets lost. It takes you until the 8th bet in terms of ranking of EV for Paris Saint-Germain to have 1+ goal and 5+ corners, which is heavy odds on at 1.444. Should have been about 1.33. When you're talking about odds that low, back odds 1.44, fair odds 1.33 is a big bet. Some people look at like the gap, say, oh, that's a gap of in decimal odds 0.11. That doesn't mean anything. And they'll go, well, I wouldn't take a bet at 10 to back and 9.89 fair. doesn't work like that. It's a sliding scale. As the odds reduce, the magnitude of the gap in decimals becomes way more significant. Big old bet that, what odds PSG to get 1+ goals and 5+ corners. There's more, right? There's Paris Saint-Germain over 2 corners in each half, which lost at 6-4. 4 goals in the game, 4 cards in the game, 9 corners in the game at 11-2. It was a big bet. It lost. Of the 20, exactly 20 plus EV combo bets, only 2 of them won. The 2 that won were Paris Saint-Germain to score 1 goal and 5 corners at 1.44. Paris Saint-Germain to score 1 goal, get 5 corners, and PSV to get 2 cards was 2.3. That one won as well. The other 18 lost. So if you staked a sort of unit win strategy on all 20 bets just to win 100 quid, you would have lost £344. 2 of your bets would have won, and the rest of them would have lost you 544 quid. You would have been absolutely stung. Now, I hoped if you were staking on this bet, you would have considered that if it finished 0-0, all 20 of these bets would have lost. So for heaven's sake, don't be staking so that a 0-0 kills you. That's always in the back of my mind. What happens if it's 0-0? Right? Don't allow a 0-0 to kill you if you're on interrelated bets in the same game. Okay, my maximum exposure is X, and so everything's going to sum to X when I've got multiple bets in a game. And if I get to that cap, I'm not having any more, or I'm accepting that I'm going a bit nuts. And if it loses, it's on me that I went a little bit, I threw something out there. Now, all these bets lost, and we lost a ton of money on this game. And so what does that mean? Well, what it means is they were fantastic bets. We lost money on those, and we lost money on Haaland. If PSV versus PSG, exactly the same game, plays again next week, is that going to finish 1-1? If Haaland gets the opportunity again against, was it Sparta Prague? Is he only going to score 2 goals? Just because these lost doesn't make them bad. In fact, I'd much rather be on bets like this, where seemingly all of the action suggests that they were good bets, and all of the numbers suggest that they were very good bets, and everything steamed in the right direction, rather than mistakes, as I was on midweek with Leeds versus Watford, where I won some money, but it wasn't through mathematics, it was just through sheer luck. Do you know who wins through sheer luck? Mugs, recreational bettors, Jeff Banks, people like this. They win through sheer luck. We're meant to be doing this with mathematics, bankroll management and variance, which means we can remove the fact that none of those bets won for us midweek, sit back and go, we had some great bets. We lost money, but we had great bets. And thank God we had the opportunity. Because the opportunity goes, we're just stuck throwing darts. But we had opportunity, we had maths, we had steamers, everything looked right. Even the games played out as we would want them to. Sometimes you cast the dice and it doesn't fall in your direction. So we cast them again next week, as long as the opportunity is there.